Today I want to give you 10 squat hacks that you can apply to your squats or folding up like motions like squats immediately when you go back to the gym next. Hey everyone, this is Brandon from Strata Internal Performance, and these 10 squat hacks are the 10 top tips that I give my clients on a weekly and daily basis to help improve their foldability. Now, when I'm talking about squats, we can relate this to any form of barbell squat or frankly just getting up and down off of a chair. The goal of these 10 hacks is if your goal is hypertrophy, strength, or you just want to move better, or maybe you're experiencing pain when you're squatting, these hacks are for you. You can really quickly and easily apply at least a couple of these soon as you go back to the gym on Monday to make your squats more challenging, easier, whatever you like. Anyway, we're gonna keep these quick and concise. Let's jump right in. Tip number 1, forget the rules. If you were to think about squatting, there are usually things that you've heard from therapists and coaches and people of all sorts over the years. Have your feet shoulder width stance, have your feet pointing straight ahead, don't let your knees go over top of your toes. Bring your legs down to 90 degrees, you wanna get ass to grass and all that stuff. The first tip is to try to forget those rules. Those are not even great guidelines. Frankly, each one of those tips has inherent limitations, especially if you've experienced any trauma over the years. The problem is that all of us are built so differently that some of those rules actually violate our body's joint motions and can actually cause injuries. I've often found people who get the most injuries from doing squats are trying to conform their body to a technique with a lot of weight on their back that someone told them is the best technique based off of those rules, but their body couldn't do it. So step 1 is to try to forget those rules. Step number 2, this guy. The foot is a very complex system, but for right now we're going to talk about one simple motion, and it's this motion. That motion is called Doris-Flexion. It's a talocrural dorsiflexion. It's in the sagittal plane mostly, and it's really your ability of your foot to come towards your shin. Now, again, there are lots of motions that are involved with this, but I have found that dorsiflexion, if you have less range of motion in that joint that is required for your tibia and your femur to move back and forth to help you with your squat, that joint will run out of motion. And when it runs out of motion, it's likely if you have a suffice load, and it could just be your body weight, that your body will find that joint motion somewhere else. So what's the quick hack? If you're finding that you're getting tight in the front of your ankle or your ankles are the limiting factor, take your foot and try placing a free weight or some platform underneath your heel to put you into a relative position of plantar flexion. This will open up your dorsiflexion and help you get down deeper, faster, without putting too much stress to your ankle and forcing motion anywhere else. Squat width is the next tip. Now, there are a lot of different labels that squats gets that define the width in which you stand. Plie squats, sumo squats, regular squats, all these squats are just really defining how wide your feet are. What I would say is if you're finding that you're having some difficulty folding up, and even if you're not, but you want to try to get a little bit deeper, experiment by going a little bit wider. If you're having a shoulder width stance, move your feet out just a little bit and let your feet turn out a little bit and see does that change your foldability. One of the simplest things I have found with all age demographics, professional athletes to seniors trying to squat a little better, is that when they open up their legs into abduction just a little bit and have their feet pointing out just a little bit, it allows them to fold up just that much easier and keep their back straight and not force motion anywhere else. Detach yourself from regular and sumo squat ideas. Try to find the squat technique that lets you fold up easiest with the least amount of strain but the most comfort. Active range of motion is the next thing that we're going to talk about. Now, in squat world, there are a lot of people who will tell you how deep you have to go. Ass to grass, legs parallel to the ground, go to 90 degrees, whatever that may mean. What I would tell you to do is lay on your back like you were going to do a crunch and pull your knees towards your chest and try to recreate the squat position while you're laying on your back. This will take gravity and your body weight squishing you down into that squat scenario, and it'll actually help you get an assessment as to how deep you can actually squat with your active control mechanisms. Don't use your hands, don't pull you there, don't go fast. Go nice and slow, recreate your squat technique while you're laying on your back to check your active range of motion. Note the difference of how close your femurs or the top of your thigh is to your stomach. And that angle that'll end up looking something like between here and here, between the front of your torso and the leg, that is how deep you should squat, at least from an introductory perspective. Make sure it feels comfortable, but that's a quick assessment to find how deep you should be squatting. You are different than the person beside you. You shouldn't be squatting the exact same as the person beside you. The fifth and sixth hacks are actually my two favorite. So the first one is an internal focus. What do you want to feel? What are you doing the squat for? Are you doing the squat to feel glute muscles? Are you doing the squat to feel quad muscles? Do you want to grow glutes? Or do you just want your whole leg to get bigger and stronger because you want bigger and more powerful legs? So for that first one, it's focus on squeezing the muscles you want to feel. Oftentimes when people squat, there is an area that you will feel fatigue faster. Your quads, your glutes, in some cases hamstrings. Maybe you want to feel another area. So what I would tell you to do, much like you were squeezing a bicep, squeeze the muscle that you want to feel first. Squeeze it right at the top of the motion, go through the full squat motion and maintain that squeeze. And when you get back to a semi-resting position at the top, re-squeeze it. Keep squeezing that tissue. Focus on what you want to feel. The next one is an external focus. Now, in performance world, if you were going to try to balance on some sort of wobbly beam, everyone will tell you to look straight ahead, look far away, way off into the horizon, and that'll actually help you balance more because you're focusing externally and further away from you. If you focus on your feet and you're looking down at your feet the whole time you're trying to balance, you're gonna fall. And that's because if we have a good external performance focus, you're actually gonna perform better. Right? Every volleyball player who is amazing is not thinking about the position of their hand when they hit the ball when they're in performance mode. They're thinking about hit ball to that position. So what I'd like for you to do as you get more comfortable with the squats is to focus on an external piece. Play with focusing on pushing into the ground. Play with trying to bring the bar or your hands towards the ceiling or your glutes towards the ceiling. Practice bringing your hips towards the wall in front of you and then the wall behind you. Practice with finding an external cue that you like how it feels. Experiment, it's a lot of fun, but then you'll start to find the version of the squat and the external and the internal cues that you actually enjoy doing. And that's likely the one you're gonna do the most. Now say you wanna progress your squat and you're not exactly sure what to do. The most common thing is to add more weight to the bar or to add more sets and reps, and those are all great options. But maybe you don't wanna do that. There are 4 steps to each individual squat repetition, right? So you're at the top position, isometric, you plyometrically or eccentrically lower the weight, you isometrically stop at the bottom, and then you myometrically or concentrically go back up to the top. Those are 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can easily slow down or modify your focus during one of those few steps. Now the top position, not very difficult because you can hold a lot of weight up there, there's not a lot of torque through your joints. I wouldn't necessarily recommend messing around with that one too much, although you can. What you could try to do is slow down your eccentric. Count how long it takes for you to currently do yours, but if you're doing it in 2 to 3 seconds, try doing it for 5 to 6 and see how that feels. Stop at the bottom and increase the amount of time that you're holding the isometric at the bottom. Try to go faster on the way up on the concentric or go slower up on the concentric. Experiment. The amount of fatigue and the amount of challenge that comes from doing that is really incredible, and it's a great way without having to put more weight on the bar, but actually really starting to master your squats. Next tip is super easy, avoid discomfort. Pain is a bummer, and if you're trying to do squats and you're feeling pain as you're going through some of the joint motion in any joint, modify your technique so you do not feel it. Try the above tips that we just talked about, or take a break that day. I'm blown away by the number of people I've worked with over the last decade who felt something they didn't like when they were squatting, and they tried to push through it. No pain, no gain, right? It's baloney. If you're feeling pain, don't push through it. Modify your technique or stop for the day. Worst case scenario, go talk to a muscle specialist, a fitness expert, or a medical professional to get some advice as to what to do. The next one is vary your options. Say you've been doing box squats or barbell squats for a really long time. What I would suggest is go to a gym, find the 45-degree sled hack squat machine, go to the free weight leg press, go to the selector weight leg press, and work on maxing out those scenarios just like you did with your other squat. It's a great way to experience a lot of different torque profiles for your body and get your muscles contracting in all sorts of positions. If you're really focused on strength per se with a barbell squat, nothing is better than working on getting stronger in all the positions that you really never challenge at a high level. Barbell squats are really only hard in the bottom position because that's when there's the most amount of torque. So why not find a leg press machine where it's actually really easy at the bottom but super heavy at the top? It's gonna help a ton. Now this last tip has been actually really helpful for people who just wanna work on holding up better and getting greater at moving and mobility, but it also does transfer to people who wanna be stronger too. break down the squat to each individual joint and train each individual joint, right? Leg extensions and leg curls are very common, but what about hip extension? What about hip flexion? No one trains hip flexion at the high level. Go to the gym and try to work on maxing out your output and control with the individual joint systems that are involved with squatting. If you can find that less ideal, less strong position of your squats and you can get it stronger, it's gonna transfer. Even working on plantar flexion to some degree will help with eccentrically lowering that squat, and you might actually get stronger from doing that. Work on your weakest links to really get the mastery out of doing a squat. All right, everybody, I hope that was helpful. Again, these are 10 scientific squat hacks to try to give you some awesome, quick tools that you can apply to your squats as soon as you get back to the gym on Monday. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this information valuable, please subscribe and please share this information. Again, not trying to contest anybody out there, just trying to share some perspective as to give you guys some really cool tools to enhance your squats, but also reduce the risk of injury. Anyway, this is Brandon from Strata. Thank you for watching. Look forward to seeing you soon.